Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the third lesson. So today's lesson will be around the third unit in your program, which is astronomy. I'm going to start this lesson by showing you a video just to make you guess what the lesson is going to be about. Okay, so let's now before we see the video, I want you to pay attention to certain details that will help you answer the following questions. Question A, or question 1, why did people in different countries gather? Of course, according to the video. Which countries have witnessed this event? All right, and you will guess what the event is about. Right? So, did you guess about the event? Let's see whether your answer is correct. A. People in different countries gathered to witness the solar eclipse. Second question. The countries that have witnessed this event, we mean the solar eclipse, were the Asian countries, namely Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, Sumatra, Indonesia, Singapore, and the Saudi Arabia. Now, do you know anything about solar eclipse? What happens exactly in this event? Okay, so as you can see in the picture, there is something dark in the middle, hiding the sun. So in the edge here, we are seeing the brightness of the sun. So what happens exactly? So it's the moon that covers the center of the sun, giving the appearance of a bright ring. As you can see, it looks like a bright golden ring. It's so beautiful. Right. Now, you have a picture here that shows the solar eclipse clearly. So you can see the sun in one part, the earth in another part, and between them you have the small moon here. The three are in alignment, and this is what causes the solar eclipse. Now, is the solar eclipse the only one? I mean, the only eclipse, or do you know any other kind of eclipses? That's what we are going to see in the following text. So please pause the video, read the text carefully, and then do the activities. Okay, you'll come back after that to correct the activities with us. Let's start with the first activity. Complete the following statements. The text is, of course, you can guess this is about the type of discourse. So is the text a descriptive text? I mean, is it describing something or someone or a place or a situation? Is it a narrative text? Is it telling you a story, the story of someone or the story of a country or a civilization? Or is it an expository text? Is it explaining something that is real, a real fact? Or is it showing how things are working? Okay, so think of it. The text is an expository text because it is explaining something about the solar eclipse. It is something that is scientific, it is something real, natural. Okay. Activity 2. Write the letter which corresponds to the right answer. So this is the kind of activities also that is given in exams, in official exams. So you choose one of the options given, A, B or C, to complete the sentence or the sentences given. Okay, take time to read the sentences very carefully, and you can go back to the text also to get the answers. Let's correct. Sentence A. A solar eclipse happens when the moon sometimes passes between the Earth and the Sun. Okay, it's not a lunar eclipse, it's the solar eclipse. Second one, the moon looks bigger than the Sun when it is close to the Earth. All right. The next one, the moon's diameter is 400 times smaller than the Sun's diameter. I hope you got the correct answer. Activity 3 is about answering questions according to the text. A. How can a small object like the moon hide a huge object like the sun? Interesting question, isn't it? Do all people in the world see the total solar eclipse? And why? What's the difference between a total and a partial eclipse? Okay, let's go to the text and look for the answers. How come that, and this question can come to the mind of any one of us. How come that a small object like the moon hide a very big, a huge object like the sun? So the answer lies in distance. The answer is in paragraph 2. What does it mean that the answer lies in distance? It means that the further away an object is, the smaller it looks. Okay? So this happens also when we speak about the sun, when we compare it to the other stars. We all know that the sun is a star, and compared to the other stars, it's of average size. It means there are other stars that are bigger, but we see the sun appears to us as bigger than the stars, simply because it's closer to the other stars. So this is the meaning. Question 2 is about, let's go back to question 2. Do all people in the world see the total solar eclipse, and why? Okay. Now let's move to the third activity, which is about answering questions according to the text. First question, how can a small object like the moon hide a huge object like the sun? Interesting question, isn't it? Do all people in the world see the total solar eclipse, and why? What's the difference between a total and a partial eclipse? All right, let's try to find the answers in the text. The first question is, how come that a small object like the moon seems bigger than the sun, or can hide a bigger object like the sun? So the answer is in paragraph 2. The answer lies in distance. This means the further away an object is, the smaller it looks. Okay? The further, when it is very far, okay, the further away an object is, the smaller it looks. This is the answer. And we can just compare this phenomenon with the stars and the sun. The sun appears to us bigger than the stars, which are normally much bigger, okay, simply because it is closer to us. The answer to question 2 is, do all people in the world see the total eclipse, and why? So the answer here is in paragraph 3. What you see during an eclipse depends on where you are. So if you are in a complete alignment, okay, with the sun and the moon, all right, so you can see the total eclipse. But if you are in other places, you will see a partial eclipse. All right. Now the third question is a comparison between the total eclipse and a partial eclipse. So the answer is not given in the same paragraph. Concerning the total eclipse, it is mentioned in paragraph 2. As you can see, this is when it can hide the sun completely and cause a total eclipse. So the total eclipse happens when the sun is completely hidden. All right. Now, concerning the partial eclipse, it is mentioned in paragraph 3 that says you will see a partial eclipse in one edge of the sun hidden by the moon and the other edge is visible. Means one part is visible and the other part is hidden. This is what we call partial. This comes from part. All right. So here are the answers. The answer lies in distance. The further away an object is, the smaller it looks. Do all people in the world see the total eclipse? No, they don't. This is an answer for a yes/no question. And then the justification should be given after this. What you see during an eclipse depends on where you are on Earth. This is about the place. What's the difference between the total and partial eclipse? So the difference between them is that in the first, the sun is hidden completely by the moon, whereas we are expressing contrast here. The second refers to the sun with one part or one edge hidden by the moon and the other part or edge that is visible. So this is about the comprehension questions. Activity 4 is about word reference. What or who do the underlined words refer to in the text? Find the reference for this in paragraph 1, it in paragraph 2, its, and this time in paragraph 3. Okay, again, you can stop or pause the video and go back to the text to find the answers. Let's correct. So this in paragraph 1, this happens when the moon passes between the earth and the sun. So what is this? What happens exactly? Okay, it is the sentence immediately that is before. The sentence, the sun disappears during daylight. This happens when the moon passes between the earth and the sun. Okay, so you can answer immediately like this. The sun disappears during the daylight, or turn it into a noun phrase and say the disappearance of the sun during daylight. The second one is it. It can appear to be much the same size. Okay, so what is it? What can appear to be the same size? It is an object. All right, it is in the same sentence. The next one is casting its shadow on the moon. So what casts the shadow on the moon? It is the earth. The earth casts the shadow on the moon and causes the solar eclipse, or the lunar eclipse in this case, I think. This happens when the earth moves between the sun and the moon, casting its shadow on the moon. At this time, so what time are we talking about? It is all the sentence when the earth moves between the sun and the moon, casting its shadow on the moon. That's it. Okay. This is also one of the activities, number 5, that can be given in exams. You fill in the table with information from the text. All right, it is part of the comprehension of the text. So in the first column you have the type of eclipse. In the second column you complete here with the way it happens. So how does the lunar eclipse happen and how does the solar eclipse happen? And what is the hidden object in each event? All right, so think of this a moment. Let's see whether your answers are correct. So for the lunar eclipse, the Earth moves between the Sun and the Moon, casting its shadow on the Moon, and the hidden object is the Moon. Whereas in the solar eclipse, the Moon passes between the Earth and the Sun and casts its shadow on the Earth, so the hidden object in this case is the Sun. So we have finished with the comprehension questions. Let's move to text exploration. Question 1 is about lexes. So I have chosen a different activity from the previous lessons. This one is not about synonyms and opposites. It's about finding the corresponding words that in the text to the following definitions. Okay, so what do we mean by the dark image that is projected on a surface when the light is blocked by somebody or something? So you can find the word that corresponds to this definition in paragraph 1. Definition 2. So what is meant by extremely large in size or amount? In paragraph 2. Finally, can be seen. So what do we mean by can be seen? And what's the word that corresponds to this definition in paragraph 3? Okay. Let's see the correction. So for the first definition, a dark image that is projected on a surface when the light is blocked by someone or somebody, we mean shadow. So what is a shadow exactly? You can see this in the picture. So you've got two persons walking in the street, and here are the shadows of these two persons. Why? Because there is light behind these persons and they are blocking this light. So the shadow appears on the surface here, on the ground. All right, this is the shadow. Extremely large in size or amount means huge. Can be seen means visible. Okay, this is about the vision, and you get the adjective visible from vision. Okay, now I'd like you to complete the following table with the missing category for each word in this table. So what is the noun and adjective of to depend? What's the verb and noun of creative? And what's the verb of length and the adjective of length also? Okay. That's correct. Okay. So the noun of to depend is dependence. How did we get this noun? By adding the suffix "ans" to the verb. Okay. The adjective dependent. So we simply add the suffix "ant" to the verb depend. So to get the verb of creative, you simply need to remove the suffix "iv", all right, and add a final "e", of course, to create. And then to get the noun, we need the suffix "yen". Okay, so since we have already a "t", so it is the suffix "yen", I-O-N. Now, what's the verb of length? Normally you should guess because we have already seen this in the previous lesson. So you add the suffix "en" to get the verb lengthen. Now, concerning the adjective, you should know it, it's long. All right? I hope you got the correct answers. Let's move to grammar. So I have kept the grammar of the same unit, that is astronomy, so comparison, expressing comparison, similarity and difference. So that's what we are going to see in the following activities. Join the following pairs of sentences using the connectors given in brackets. Okay, so you have whereas for the first one, and like in the second, neither nor, it's a correlative conjunction. You have also like for the next one, and both and. Of course, you should know the meaning of all these connectors before you join your sentences. Okay. If you know the meaning of the words, you can guess immediately that if the relation here that is expressed, or the function that is expressed, is similarity, or if it is difference. Okay, so let's start the correction. For the first sentence, we simply put whereas in the middle of the sentence. Okay, whereas is one of the connectors that cannot be put in the beginning. You put it in the middle. So you say, some planets are hot, whereas others are not. You see, very simple. Whereas can be replaced by however, for example, it can be replaced by while. The next one is and like. Well, it's easy to guess that it is about difference here. Now, how am I going to use it in the sentence? Planet Earth is inhabited, planet Mars is not inhabited. So this is one of the words that is used also to avoid repetition. So what is the word that is repeated according to you? It is inhabited. Okay? And what are the different words? Planet Earth and planet Mars. So and like can be used in this way. And like planet Earth, comma, the comma is very essential here. And as you can see, we have removed the first verb because it has been repeated. Okay, so to avoid the repetition of inhabited, we use and like in this way. And like planet Earth, comma, Mars is not inhabited. Or I can say the sentence in a different way. And like planet Mars, all right, planet Earth is inhabited. This time you keep the sentence in a positive way. I hope it's clear. Jupiter isn't close to the Earth. Saturn isn't close to the Earth too. So, of course, this is an addition, but it's an addition of two negative sentences. That's why we can use neither nor. Now, what are the changes that will happen in the sentence that I'm going to make in the sentence after using neither nor? Look at the sentence. Neither Jupiter nor Saturn is close to the Earth. You see? So my verb here becomes positive. Why? Because the first negation is being replaced by neither, and the second negation is being replaced by nor. So I no longer need to use another negation here. Otherwise, it would be a sort of double negation or something like that. So you say neither Jupiter, and you remove the first verb. Okay, you use the verb only once. It is a sort of common element in the sentence. Neither Jupiter nor Saturn is close to the Earth. All right. Next sentence. Saturn has rings. Jupiter has also rings, or also has rings, with the like. This is, of course, similarity. And you can compare like with and like. You see, it's simply the opposite. So we can use it in the same way as in the previous sentence. Say, like Saturn, comma, okay, as I said, it's very essential. Jupiter has rings. We use the verb only once, since it's a common element, for the two different elements that are Saturn and Jupiter. So it's not correct, for example, to say, like Saturn has rings, Jupiter has rings. This is a common element, a common mistake in pupils' answers. Okay, like Saturn, we remove the first verb, put a comma, Jupiter has rings. Okay, so this is the correct way for using like and dislike. The last sentence, Venus turns around the sun, the Earth orbits the sun. Now, is it a similarity or a difference? Of course, it's a similarity. So it seems different because the verbs are different. Turns and orbit are synonyms, okay? So using the connector both and now. So how do we use this connector? Both Venus and the Earth orbit the sun. All right, so both and is used to express an addition of two elements. Of course, the elements can be subjects, or they can be verbs, or they can be adjectives, depending on the position of the word. But both and is not always put in the beginning. It can be in the middle of a sentence also. All right. So pay attention to the verb now. The verb here is plural, orbit. I mean, there is no s. There is no final s of the third person of the singular. So we have removed the final s of the third person of the singular, turns. We have removed also the s of orbit. Why? Because it's an addition. So it is no longer singular. Okay? That's all for the first activity. Another activity in grammar is to fill in the gaps with the appropriate conjunctions from the following list. All right. So the words or the conjunctions given are, however, similar to, in, different from, and like. So in sentence 1, can you guess what's the word that should be put in the first one? Okay, first of all, depending on the position and depending on the structure of the sentence, you have to guess what word is going to be put in these sentences. Think of it a moment and take the correction after this. Sentence 1. And like the other stars. So why did we choose and like? Simply because there is no verb in the first part of the sentence, and as you can see, there is a comma in the middle. So we say, and like the other stars, the sun is of average size. Okay. Second one, the planets are the other heavenly bodies. They orbit the sun. So it's a comparison between planets and the other heavenly bodies. So what is the element of comparison? It is orbiting the sun. Now, do both of them orbit the sun, or is it only one of them that orbits the sun? Of course, both of them. So it's a similarity. That's why we use similar to. The planets are similar to the other heavenly bodies. How? In that, this is a completion of this connector, they orbit the sun. Number 3. The Earth is inhabited. There is no life on the other planets. So this is in opposition. The necessary word, the appropriate word here is however. So concerning the last one, we are comparing Mars with the other planets in what? In the fact that Mars is a rocky red planet. Of course, not all the planets are rocky and red. So this is a difference. That's why we use different from. Okay? So from here is a preposition that goes with the adjective different to form, to express difference. You cannot use any other preposition here. You cannot say different of or different for or what. It's different from. Let's move to sound system. This is about classifying the following words according to the number of their syllables. Alright, so these are the words and you have to classify in the table according to the number of syllables. Now, do you know how to divide words, or what's the principle for the division of the word into syllables? Okay, try alone first and then correct with me. So here is our table. So the word that contains only one syllable in the list is strange. Okay, strange. Now, the second word, the word that contains 2 syllables is further. Alright, another word that contains 3 syllables is eclipses. And the last word, discovery, contains 4 syllables. As you can notice, in the previous table in the activity, I have put only 3 columns for words that contain 1 syllable, 2 syllables, and 3 syllables. Okay? But if you notice that in the list there is a word that contains more than 3 syllables, of course, in your answer, you should add another column for the word. Okay? So what is the principle for dividing a word into syllables? Well, strange. You need to count the number of the vowels that are pronounced. So what are the vowels that are pronounced in the first word? There is only one. A. Well, in reality, it's a diphthong. But the final E here, the final E is not pronounced. So you don't say, for example, strange E. You say strange. So the final E is not pronounced. That's why the word contains only 1 syllable. For the second word, further, this is the way you cut it in your mouth also. Further, you have 2 syllables, so you have 2 vowels that are pronounced, so you have 2 syllables. The third word, eclipses. How many vowels are pronounced? E, another E, and another E. So you have 3 syllables. Now, if I remove the final S, so the E here will not be pronounced. Okay? So you would say eclipse. And then you would have 2 syllables instead of 3. But because there is a final S, we pronounce eclipses. There is an additional vowel at the end, so you count 3 syllables. Discovery. So you've got 4 syllables simply because there are 4 vowels that are pronounced. I really hope it's clear. Okay, let's move now to the last activity in text exploration, that is a gap filling activity. So you have a list of 6 words that you will use. So you choose among these words only 4 words to put in the text so that it gets meaning. So one of the techniques that can help you here is the nature of the word that is missing. Now, how can you know the nature of the word? It depends on the position of the missing word in the sentence. Let's try with the first one. While the ancient peoples viewed eclipses as signs of great acts of God, physicists viewed the 1919 solar eclipse as a triumph of... Do you think it can be a verb? Of course, no. So you are going to look for a noun. Now, what are the nouns given in the list? So light can be a noun, or it can be an adjective, of course. Rises is a verb. Science is a noun. Relativity is a noun. Earth is a noun. And vanished is a verb. So you have eliminated vanished and rise. So it should be a noun. All right? So then you have to resort to meaning. All right? For the next one, in which the sun, okay, during that date's epic eclipse, in which the sun for 6 minutes. Now it's clear that a verb is missing. Now it can be the first or it can be the second, rises or vanished. Then look for the meaning of the sentence. All right? Let's see the correction. While the ancients viewed eclipses as signs of great acts of God, physicists viewed the 1919 solar eclipse as a triumph of science, of course. Okay? During that date's epic eclipse, in which the sun vanished, because during the eclipse, the sun does not rise, it vanished. And it is about the past, okay? And the first verb, rise, is in the present, so it doesn't work. For 6 minutes and 51 seconds, scientists measured the bending of what? The bending of light from the stars, okay? From the stars as they passed near the sun. The findings the results confirmed Einstein's theory of general relativity. Okay, this is the theory of Einstein, which describes gravity as a warping of space-time. That's all. Now we reach the last activity, written expression. Choose one of the topics, or of course you can do both since you are at home. Topic 1. Some missions to space cost a great deal of money. Do you think this money is well spent or must be spent on something else? Write an argumentative essay of about 80 or 100 words in which you justify your position. Okay? So you write an introduction that should be stated from this topic. And since it is an argumentative text, so there are arguments for and there are arguments against. You develop both of them if you need to speak about your position and the position of other people. But if you speak about your position only, you develop only one of them. Okay? So don't forget to use the techniques we have suggested to you in the previous lesson. So you need to write developers and details for every developer and finish your paragraph with a terminator that can be an opinion or that can be a restatement of the topic sentence that is your introduction. Okay? Topic 2 is a free topic. Okay, it is much related to the text we have seen in today's lesson. So you witnessed a solar eclipse. Write a letter of about 80 or 100 words to your friend in which you describe what you saw. So this kind, it's a letter, so you need to respect the layout. Don't forget to start with an opening, say dear, followed by the name of your friend. Then the body, the body here will be a sort of descriptive text, since you are describing what the solar system, what happens exactly in the solar system. The video we have seen in the beginning of this record can help you, and the text also can help you, but please avoid copying all the words from the text. Use your own words. You can keep the same ideas, but be intelligent and use different structures, all right? And don't forget to finish your letter with closing. That is, when you sign your name, you say yours and write your name. I hope this lesson will be fruitful and beneficial for you. And thank you for watching.
شكرا على المشاهدة. لا تنسوا الاشتراك في القناة، الضغط على الجرس، الإعجاب بالفيديو. شكرا.